but John should be here. John wrote the cases. I have Forrest and John walking in.
Okay. Well, I guess we're ready. Good morning, everyone. This is a meeting of the Escambia County Board of Adjustment for September the 20th, 2023. It is hereby called to order. We'd ask anyone to put your phones on silent or to turn them off. That would be very helpful, and we thank you. We have 7 members present, and we have a quorum. Will the clerk please swear in the staff?
John and Horace, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Members of the board, copies of the staff's resumes have previously been provided and remain on file for reference. The board has previously recognized our staff as expert witnesses. Does anyone have any questions regarding their qualifications and abilities to offer testimony? Seeing none. Acceptance of the BOA meeting package for September the 20th, 2023 with the Development Services staff's findings of facts. It is hereby offered into evidence. The BOA meeting package for September the 20th, 2023 with the Development Services staff's findings of fact have been previously provided to all board members. The chair will now entertain a motion to accept the BOA meeting package into evidence. Do we have a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Mo- Motion by Mr. Smith and a second by Willie. All those in favor of this motion, could you please raise your right hand? Let the record reflect the motion has passed unanimously. With all 7 members in favor of the motion and no members opposed. Madam Clerk, do we have proof of publication?
Yes, sir.
Did the publications meet all the legal requirements?
Yes, sir.
The chair will now entertain a motion to waive the reading of the legal advertisement. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
We have a motion by Willie and a second. A second by Mr. Smith. All those in favor? please raise your right hand. Let the record reflect unanimously, the motion passes with 7 members in favor of the motion and none opposed. Members of the board, have you reviewed the resume and transcript for the Board of Adjustment meeting held on July the 19th, 2023? Upon your review of the transcript and the resume, are there any deletions, corrections, or additions that you would like to make? Seeing none, the board will now entertain a motion regarding the hearing resume for the Board of Adjustment meeting held on July the 19th, 2023. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by the vice chairman and a second by Willie. All those in favor, please raise your right hands. Let the record reflect that the motion passes with 7 members in favor and no members opposed. We now turn to the purpose of the Board of Adjustment and the conduct of this meeting, and we now will hear from our vice chairman.
The Board of Adjustments, BOA, hears administrative appeals, variances, and conditional use requests. These hearings are quasi-judicial in nature. Quasi-judicial hearings are like evidentiary hearings in a court of law, however less formal. All public testimony will be taken under oath, and anyone testifying before the BOA may be subject to cross-examination. All documents and exhibits that the BOA considers are entered into evidence and made a part of the record. The giving of opinion testimony will be limited to experts, and closing arguments will be limited to the evidence in the record. After hearing the testimony and arguments for and against the proposed action, and before making its decision, the BOA will consider the relevant testimony, the exhibits entered into evidence, and the applicable law. Because decisions of the BOA relating to variances, conditional uses, and extensions of development order for site plan approval are final unless overturned by a court of competent jurisdiction, the county may issue development orders and permits for properties in accordance with the decisions of the BOA. However, if applicant requests the issuance of any such order or permit, and such order or permit is issued, the applicant and not the county shall bear any risk that such decision may be set aside. The development order or permit may be revoked, or the development may be otherwise enjoined by the reviewing court. Any applicant for relief from a decision of the BOA for said actions, or any aggrieved party as defined by state law, may seek a review of such pleading in a court of competent jurisdiction within 30 days of the BOA decision. The date of the BOA decision shall be the date of the BOA voted at the conclusion of the hearing. Whenever the BOA denies an application, no new application for an identical action on the same parcel shall be accepted for consideration within a period of 180 days of the BOA decision. Any person aggrieved by a decision of the BOA relating to an appeal of an administrative decision may, within 15 days thereafter, apply to the circuit court for review. Each individual who wishes to address the board regarding a particular issue must complete a blue request to speak form and submit it to the clerk of the board. These forms are located on the table at the back of the commission chambers. You will not be allowed to speak until we receive one of these completed request to speak forms. We must have these completed forms for public record. Ex parte communications. All written or oral communication outside of this hearing with members of the BOA regarding matters under review today are considered ex parte communications. Ex parte communications are presumed prejudicial under Florida law and must be disclosed as provided in Board of County Commission Resolution 96-13 before a decision of this board or any administrative appeal, variance, or conditional use request. The chair would ask, as each case is heard, that any board member who has been involved in any ex parte communication regarding the respective issue to please identify themselves and describe the communication.
We now begin our first case. Case number CU 2023-11. And we would ask that the petitioners come forward. This is located at 2709 Granger Avenue to allow an accessory structure in the front yard or of a waterfront lot. And this has been requested by, and I'm sorry, please correct me in the pronunciation of your names, Mr. Koyoung Nagayan and Hannah Nagayan, who are the owners.
Chairman, if we may, yesterday afternoon, we received an affidavit to allow their daughter, Miss Nguyen, to go ahead and be designated as the agent of this case. Could we have a vote to accept that into evidence so she may present the case on behalf of her parents?
A motion to go ahead and accept that.
We have a motion. And we have a second to accept. And ma'am, could you come forward? And could you please, for the record, give us your name?
Yep, my name is Yang Nguyen. It's spelled Giang. Last name Nguyen, same as my parents.
And could you please raise your right hand and allow the clerk to give you the oath, please?
Of course.
Do you solemnly swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you. And Chairman, may I have the rest of the board vote on the evidence?
Oh, I'm sorry. All in favor?
Thank you.
Passes unanimously. At this point, you have the opportunity, if you would like, to make a presentation, tell us about your parents' plan, or if you would like, the staff can present their findings, and then after that, whatever additional remarks you'd like to make, you'll be able to do that.
If she could go over the staff findings, that would be great. And then if there's any further questions or details, I can explain further.
Have you received the staff's report? Do you,
Yes.
and have you read it, ma'am?
Yes.
And are you in agreement with it?
Yes.
Okay. Well, if we could have the staff present, then.
All right, thank you very much. My name is John Fisher, I'm Senior Planner here at Escambia County Development Services Department. Thank you, board members. We'll go through the maps here just for location. So here is the conditional use here on the board or screen. This is the location and wetlands area map. This is the zoning of MDR with a zoning radius of 500 feet. This is the future land use map showing mixed use urban. This is the aerial map of the project. This is a public hearing sign looking east along Aline Street. This is looking southwest at the subject property along Align Drive and from Granger Avenue. Oh, thank you. Looking south at the subject property from the intersection of Align and Granger Avenue. And looking north from Align Drive and the Granger Avenue. That includes all the maps and photography. Would you like to go over staff's findings or?
Yes, please.
Okay. Staff is in agreement with this project. So the applicant is seeking a conditional use approval to locate an accessory structure in the front yard of a waterfront property. Under general compatibility, finding some facts, this is a deep 458-foot plus or minus on the east side and 439 feet plus or minus on the west side. Property fronting Bio Grande. The proposal calls for an accessory structure to be built with a minimum 60 foot from the right-of-way and would be compatible with similar properties in the area. Under criteria B, facilities and services, no facilities or services will be used for the accessory structure at this time. Under criteria C, on-site circulation, the site plan submitted for this case shows no driveway connection to Granger Avenue or Align Drive. The property owner may use internal access within the property to access the proposed building or contact Access Management Department about obtaining a new driveway if necessary. Under criteria D, nuisance and hazards, the proposed use should not generate unreasonable noise, glare, dust, smoke, odor, vibrations, electrical interference, or other nuisances or hazards for adjoining properties and other properties in the immediate area. Under criteria E, solid waste, the proposed home currently has solid waste service and will continue to do so. Criteria F, screening and buffering. Where not authorized, required by the LDC, screening and buffering will be provided if appropriate for the proposed. Under the screening and buffering finding facts, these are like uses. In the case of single-family homes, it is not required by the LDC. Under criteria G, signs and lighting, the proposed lighting will be residential in nature and no signs are proposed. Under criteria H, site characteristics, the parcel is sparsely adequate to allow for the home and detached structure. Under criteria I, use requirements, a specific use requirement for this case is that the proposed structure needs to be set back at least 60 feet from the right-of-way, and the proposal meets that requirement. Staff recommends that the board approves the proposed conditional use as requested. That includes staff's findings.
Before we continue on, has the board, for the record, had any ex parte communications or a site visit concerning this property? Seeing none. Ma'am, do you have any additional comments you'd like to make?
No, unless there's questions about like the structure of the building.
At this point, I think we would start with the boards. Is there anyone, any board members that have questions?
This is going to be like a storage facility, a garage type structure. Is there going to be any living facilities in this building?
No, it's like a pole barn for storage in case like the hurricane with water.
Okay. Will it have any utilities hooked to it?
Most likely light or electricity run to it, possibly plumbing, but it wouldn't be livable.
Okay. Thank you.
And Ms. Bass, that's a good question. I'm glad that y'all asked that question. Again, this is not proposed as an accessory dwelling unit. There are very, very distinctive requirements for an accessory dwelling unit and an accessory structure. And as she stated, there's going to be a detached garage storage. If it is going to be anything else, it will have to go back and be reviewed, and we may have to start all back over. So this is for an accessory structure, like a detached garage in the front yard, because this is a waterfront lot.
Are there additional board members with questions?
Yes, I have one. Does staff have a plot plan proposed? And 60 foot is the minimum dimension from property line?
Yes, must be set back at least a minimum of 60 feet.
I have a question. If I understood your testimony, then this will be simply a garage. It will have utilities, but no living spaces. Is that right, ma'am?
Correct.
I'm sorry.
Correct.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, there'll be no living.
No living spaces, but
Spaces,
it
yeah.
will have, and also from the testimony of the staff, then there won't be any connecting roads or connecting driveways to the main street. Is that right?
Correct.
Or I presume you're going to use your internal driveway to get out on the street like you now do?
Yes.
Okay. Board members, we have, is there anything else you would like to add, ma'am, before we call, we do have one witness?
If there is, a separate driveway that goes out, would we have to ask permission if it's coming off of the driveway that we currently are using?
Yes, ma'am, I think that would be part of the
That's,
necessary
staff can answer that
approval.
for. So if you're using the current driveway and it's just internal, you do not need permission. But if you're going to add a new driveway to any of the roads out there, you would need a permit for that.
Okay, just want to confirm.
Okay.
What is the square footage of the new structure?
It's gonna be 600,000.
600 square feet?
Yeah, 600 square feet.
Okay.
Sorry, that'd be huge.
625.
Yeah, that'd be giant.
And do you happen to know the square footage of your parents' home?
I think it's on here.
Or if the staff knows?
It was supposed to be a specific square footage that was half the size, I believe.
Yes, it has to be at least, their home has to be at least 1,200 square feet, which I believe it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's well within the, all right. Are there any other questions before we hear, we have one witness?
I have a question. Where is the existing driveway?
Right down the bottom, yeah, right there.
Okay.
So they would not be allowed, unless they requested or permitted a driveway off of Aileen Drive, correct?
That is correct. They would have to get access management to approve that, so that's up to them to decide.
Okay. And the storage garage building is 5 foot off the west boundary line, is that correct? Yeah, 5 feet. Will there be any trees that need to be removed for this?
Not
Building.
at the moment.
Any additional questions from the board before we hear from our witness in this case? Seeing none. Ma'am, if you've concluded your remarks, we will hear from, we do have one witness to testify in this matter.
Okay.
Or have you finished your comments?
I have.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
And we now would ask Mr. Ken McElhenney.
Yes, sir.
Sir, could you please face the clerk, raise your right hand, and allow her to administer the oath?
Do you solemnly swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yep, Ken McElhenney. I'm on 2620 Wolverine Street, which is about 3 lots to the west of, to the east of the property that Chong owns. I'm in full support. I'm one of those guys, I have a building garage just like, not like he's building, but similar. And I know in that neighborhood, 5 out of the 8 lots also have outbuildings that are on the front side of the house, which we really call that the backyard, not the front yard. The front yard is the water, but for most people. So I'm fully supported. That's all I had to say.
Does the board have any questions for our witness? Seeing none. Thank you, sir. Thank you for coming and testifying. Does the staff wish to make any additional comments?
No, sir.
Ma'am, would you like to make any additional comments? We've now reached the point in our proceeding where the board will consider your application.
No, I'm done.
Okay. It appears the applicant has rested, and we've reached that point in time where the board now must decide on whether or not to approve this application. First, do I have any discussion before we vote by the board? Seeing none, do I hear a motion in this matter?
Motion to approve according to staff's findings.
We have a motion to approve by Willie,
I'll second it.
and we have a second. Then all board members that are in favor of this application, please raise your right hand. And it passes unanimously. Ma'am, your application, or your parents' application has been approved, and if you would get with the staff, they'll explain the next steps for you. We now turn to our next case, case number CU 2023-12, 221 North New Warrington Road and 217 North Tyson Street. The request is to allow retail building greater than 6,000 feet in high-density mixed-use zoning. And this is been requested by Lorsales Lupa House Incorporated as the owner. And we have 2 agents with us today, Alara Mills Crutcher and Carly Hanson. So if we might hear from.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Ma'am, what is your name for the
My
record?
name's Carly Hanson. I'm a professional planner.
Board, before we begin testimony, has anyone had an ex parte communication relating to this case? Seeing none. Ma'am, would you like to make a presentation now, or would you like for the staff to make a presentation and then you follow up?
I'd like to follow staff, please.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Chair and board members. My name's John Fisher, again, Senior Planner for Development Services Department. On the screen, we are looking at the location there along New Warrenton Road and Tyson Street. This is the location and wetlands map. This is the 500-foot radius map for zoning. You see the front half is commercial, which most of the building will be sitting on. You do have the back half as being zoned to HDMU. So this is kind of a unique thing that the whole building's not sitting on just commercial, so that's why they are here, because the building will be over that limit. So they're asking for the 6,000 square feet in HDMU zoning. So just to clarify a little bit as we go forward. This is the future land use map. The whole property is zoned commercial for future land use. This is the aerial map. There's an existing building currently on site, which would be demolished and have a new building put on its place. Public hearing sign looking south along New Warrenton Road, looking northwest from New Warrenton Road onto the subject property. This is looking north along New Warrenton Road. This is looking across, east, across New Warrenton Road. This public hearing sign south along Tyson Street. This is looking west from the subject property across Tyson Street. This is looking north along Tyson Street. And this is looking east across Tyson Street at the subject property. And that includes all pictures and staffs. Would you like to go over to the staff's findings at this time?
Yes, please.
Okay. So the applicant is requesting a conditional use approval for a retail store greater than 6,000 feet in the HDMU zoning. Again, this parcel is half zoned HDMU and half zoned commercial, which commercial does allow for this already. Under criteria A, general compatibility. These parcels are located along two roads, North New Warrenton Road, Principal Arterial, and North Tyson Street, a local road. The predominant zoning in the area is commercial, which allows for buildings greater than 6,000 square feet per lot, limitations in HDMU only. The surrounding properties are of various residential uses, but this area contains a mixture of retail, office, and residential uses. The proposed use can be compatible with the area. Facilities and services are the currently available on-site will accommodate the addition of the scale of retail. Criteria C, on-site circulation. The site plan submitted for the case shows that the required parking along the driveway connection to New Warrenton Road, State Road 295. Under criteria D, nuisance and hazards. The finding facts, the proposed use should not generate unreasonable noise, glare, dust, smoke, odor, vibrations, electrical interference, or any other nuisance hazards for adjoining properties and other properties in the immediate area. Under criteria E, solid waste. The findings and facts, solid waste services will be via dumpster as shown on the site plan. The dumpster will be screened and maintained to avoid nuisance conditions. Under criteria F, screening and buffering. Screening and buffering will be required between the retail use and adjacent residential uses, which would just be, I believe, on the south side. Criteria G, signs and lighting. All exterior signs and lights, whether attached or from freestanding, will be compatible with adjoining properties and other properties in the immediate area, especially regarding glare and traffic safety. Findings and facts. Light and signage will be part of the site plan review and must meet all applicable code requirements. Under criteria H, site characteristics, the findings and facts. The proposed site is approximately 1 acre in size with only a portion of half an acre being zoned HDMU. The other half acre is commercial zoning. This is adequate for the proposed use. Under criteria I, use requirements, the proposed retail use is allowed in the zoning district, but the increase in proposed size requires the conditional use request. Staff recommends the board approve the proposed conditional use as requested, and that includes staff's findings. Thank you.
At this point, ma'am, would you like to make a presentation also or comment, or would you would like to wait and allow the board to make whatever questions it has for the staff.
I'd like to go ahead and present.
Okay.
Thank you. So today we are seeking a conditional use approval for a retail store greater than 6,000 square feet in the HDMU zoning category to be located at 221 North New Warrington Road and 217 North Tyson Street. As staff said, the proposed site is approximately 1 acre in size, with about half of an acre portion being zoned HDMU and the other half being zoned commercially. Our applicant is proposing the construction of a retail store of approximately 10,640 square feet. We want to emphasize that this request to allow a retail store greater than 6,000 square feet in the HDMU district is only requested for approximately 900 square feet of our proposed retail store. The other 9,740 square feet of the proposed structure will be located in the commercial zoning district, which allows the retail use and size. We agree with staff's findings that the applicant meets all the criteria for the conditional use request and concur with their recommendation for approval. This property is currently developed with 2 buildings, as reported by the Escambia County property appraiser, 1 dwelling unit and 1 building that appears to have previously been used as a restaurant. Both structures will be removed prior to the new use. To meet the requirements of the conditional use request, a compatibility analysis was conducted and is included in your packet in order to demonstrate that the proposed retail store will not over time adversely or negatively impact the surrounding uses. In addition to meeting the requirements of the future land use category and zoning district, Section 3-2.9 requires that newly created uses within the HDMU district require only one provided criteria to be met. The proposed development meets the requirements set forth by Location Criteria 3, entitled Infill Development. Located adjacent to North New Warrington Road, a principal arterial roadway, this project promotes infill development in an area of existing non-residential uses. The development site is also considered infill, as the site was previously operated as a restaurant. Further, Location Criteria 5, entitled Documented Compatibility, is met. Our provided analysis demonstrates that this project will be compatible with existing and potential uses. Additionally, a rezoning is not requested or required, and this site is not located within a community redevelopment district. Therefore, this proposal to provide a retail store in close proximity to retail uses while promoting compatible infill development is consistent with the location criteria for new non-residential uses within the HDMU zoning district. Section 3-1.6 creates compatibility criteria to allow for residential and non-residential uses to be located in close proximity to each other, specifically small-scale dispersed neighborhood commercial uses in proximity to residential areas, which is the case here. The surrounding properties are of various residential uses, but this area also contains a mixture of retail, office, and residential uses. The proposed use will be developed to promote compatibility with the area as a small-scale neighborhood use store to serve the area residents with daily necessities. Together with the proposed setbacks, any criteria regarding landscape, buffering, and screening will be met at the time of development order in order to help ensure a compatible development with existing uses. Additionally, along such a heavy trafficked corridor, this site is ideal for a non-residential use. The proposed retail store is consistent and furthers the goals, objectives, and policies of the Escambia County Comprehensive Plan and complies with the adopted requirements of the county's Land Development Code. The development of this store will not create a condition that negatively impacts the nearby residents over time. Additionally, the local residents will benefit from the location of the store with daily necessities and other common household items. This location will reduce vehicle trips and miles traveled along the roadways and reduce congestion by providing goods within a walkable or short drive distance. We respectfully request your approval. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Before we begin, has there been any ex parte communications or site visit by any board member? Seeing none. Board members, would you, at this point, would you like to question the staff or our applicant's agent?
Is there a proposed plot plan?
Yes.
And there will not be an exit onto Tyson Street, correct?
Yes, that's correct. The only access proposed is off of North New Warrington.
Okay.
Any additional questions from board members? I have one for the staff. Since the zoning literally is split, there's no problem with having two zoning on one parcel in this situation?
No, sir, not since the both zonings allow for that type of use. It's just the HDMU has the max of square footage.
And this is going to be a Dollar General store, isn't it?
Yes, that's correct.
Will this be somewhat like, I don't know if you're familiar with it, the one at Cody and Olive Road?
The neighborhood Dollar General?
I can answer that. This will be
Sir, if you could come forward and be sworn.
Thanks. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thanks. State your name and address. please.
Luke Strickland, 915 Pine Street, Tallahassee, Florida. I work for the developer, so it will be smaller and will not have as much fresh produce. But it will be somewhat similar on the design. The facade will look similar.
Okay.
But it should probably have similar products, but it won't be as big. That's a 12480. This is a 10640, but yeah, it should have a fairly similar look to it as the olive red one.
Okay. And also another question, go back to the aerial. Are the surrounding parcels that are abut this development, proposed development, are they commercial or are there homes there or?
I believe there is a mix of commercial on one side and a residential on the other side.
This proposed development also does include the two parcels directly north of the two parcels included in this request. So the entire project site's approximately 1.6 acres in total. This
Right.
request is only for 1 acre.
And so below the blue box though, is that, or do you know, for example, is that a residential building? And up above, I see, up above the, going north, are those residential?
So the parcel directly on North New Warrington Road, directly south, yes, is 2 parcels. One is designated by the property appraiser as store, office, single-family residential, and the other is single-family residential.
Okay.
And your question about the one on the north was?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't get your question.
What is it also?
That parcel is currently designated single-family residential. As I stated earlier, that will be, that structure will be removed and will be a part of this development.
Okay.
The structure that's shown in the blue box was an old restaurant, but it kind of would appear from an aerial view that it would be a residential, but it was commercial at one point,
Okay.
used for commercial.
A lot of these buildings were residential houses at one time, but all been converted to some type of commercial use.
Okay. So essentially, we won't have to face the issue of residences being nestled up near the development. in
No,
other
sir.
words. And the buffering, what kind of buffering will there be?
If there is any residential that is adjacent to the property, it's a 16-foot buffer.
Okay.
And that may include, as John said, John, one of our lead senior planners that sits in that may include maintaining the existing vegetation. It may include fencing to protect those residential uses and on those. So we would definitely look at the buffer requirement, especially with the ones coming off from Tyson, the back part, and they have always worked with us on those things, meeting those requirements to protect those residential properties. Absolutely.
There will be fencing.
I'm sorry.
There will be fencing.
Okay. And essentially, if I understand the testimony then from the staff and from the applicants, then this essentially entrance and exit will be only on New Warrington Road.
Yes.
So essentially, this is going to be a New Warrington Road business, and there won't be any kind of back exit that takes it on to Tyson Street, which is a local road that's might be troublesome to have a lot of frequent traffic.
Yes, that's correct. And further, the setback from our structure proposed to that rear line along Tyson is 127 feet.
Okay. Board, do we have any additional questions? Would you like, you have the opportunity now, if you wish, to make a short summary, although I will say you're made a fairly extensive presentation, but if you'd like another shot, then you're welcome to it.
I have nothing else.
I'm
All
good
right.
as well.
Thank you.
Staff, do we have anything else from the staff? Well, Board, we've reached the point in time where we will consider this application for approval.
We don't have any speakers.
Oh, and I presume there are no speakers. I do not have a blue speaker sheet, only Ms. Hanson's sheet. Is there anyone else here that would like the opportunity to speak on this matter? Seeing none. Well, Board, I think we're at that point. Where-
Mr. Chairman, I move we accept staff's findings of fact and adopt the conditional use.
We have, Mrs. Smith has moved approval, and do I hear a second? We have a second from Marty. We're now at the point where, is there any further discussion before we vote? No additional discussion. All members in favor of the application, please raise your right hand. And this application is approved by the board unanimously. Okay, Do we have any old business from the staff? No old business? Our next, Madam Attorney, you have any business?
I would
Okay.
like to make a comment about the next meeting. I don't have any cases. So as of right now, I have on here the next meeting is October 18th. If there's an emergency or something that needs to be added last minute, so be it. But as of right now, I don't have any pending cases for the Board of Adjustment. I can send an email to the board next week just to verify there's no meeting, and go from there. I don't know
Okay.
when your next meeting will be. It just depends on if any cases come in.
Okay, well, we may be on furlough. We were a flop. We opened and closed in one performance. Thank everyone. Appreciate you working with an amateur chairman. I'll adjourn this meeting and hope everyone can get safely home.
Good job, Chairman.